what you want, open invitation. I'm a human being infused with creative vibration, utilizing melodies and visual stimulation. Beats and stories get the glory, you get the relation. I get impatient like a doctor racing. Bullets coming from my soul, my body just a casing.
What is up, fam? Welcome to another episode of the Paralyzed Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel B. Alvarez. And I know there was like a lapse in the episodes. My laptop actually kind of like died on me. So I have a mid-2012 MacBook Pro. And it's upgraded. It has a 1 terabyte SSD drive, 16 gigabytes of RAM, 16 gigabytes of RAM. What the hell am I talking about? But it's limited, with like the video card, the graphics card that it has. So I ended up kind of like upgrading it again. And I was going to get like already looking for like the next MacBook to get. And then I started reading that there's going to be a new MacBook Pro, like the 14-inch MacBook Pro. So I'm just waiting for that so that I can like have something that's not going to take 8 hours to render an hour-long podcast. So like I'm going to try it. Like I might have to like start recording them and then editing them like elsewhere, like with a faster computer maybe to keep like the podcast going. But anyways, so today's episode, we're going to talk about drugs, drogas, narcotics. Yeah, I'm just gonna talk about some like the experiences that I've had with random drugs. And like I was into sports when I was like growing up, teenager. So I was kind of like, nah, I'm straight. I want to focus on sports and be healthy. So I kind of like didn't really try a lot of stuff. I'll tell you about some of the experience that I did have though. I'm a weed smoker. That's kind of like the thing that I choose to do, not just because it like, helps me out and makes me feel relaxed and all that good stuff, but it also actually helps with my spasms because my legs get really stiff sometimes. So, it helps with that, and then it helps with like pain because I get really bad back pain, and it's actually been really bad lately. So yeah, it like kind of helps with that. It's kind of funny at this point. I feel like it helps me just as much as some of the pain, one of the pills that I take that helps with that issue of spasms and all that. Cause yeah, if I go without smoking like half a day, even my legs will be like spasming like crazy. So yeah, it's kind of like I randomly remember like my first kind of unofficial experience with weed. So I used to live in Pasadena. After my parents split up, I ended up, my sisters and my mom, we ended up moving to Pasadena with my aunt, with my mom's sister. So me and my cousin Peter were like always together, like in the streets, like from when we were like on summer vacation, and we were literally like in the streets from super early in the morning to like really late at night. So we'd literally always be in the street, and for whatever reason we would always hang out with older people. So we had like this friend, I think I was like maybe like 9 at the time, and my cousin was like 7, and we had like a friend that was like older. He was like maybe like 15. His name was Christian. Our neighbor was his brother, so he was like always around. And I guess like his older brothers, he had a few older brothers, and they would smoke weed. And I guess he kind like he wouldn't smoke, but he kind of like saw them smoke, and kind of like got the idea of like if you smoke this plant, you'll get like drunk or something. So he ends up bringing us like this rolled leaf. I don't know exactly what it was, but it wasn't weed. But yeah, so it was like this rolled leaf, and he was like, "Yo, if we smoke this, man, we'll get super high, or like drunk or something." Because I guess he didn't really like fully understand what it meant to be like high or whatever. He just like saw his brothers smoke this shit and get lit. So yeah, so my cousin, him, and me go to like, there was like these bushes behind our house that had like this little trail, and we would like go in there and just kick it, and he like lit this leaf up, and we were smoking it, and we are like passing it around, whatever, getting like lit supposedly. But I don't know what it was, but it wasn't weed. It like didn't get me high. So that's why I say it was like my first official unofficial, because it wasn't weed. I was out here smoking leaves. But yeah, and then we right after that we ended up going inside, and I guess we were smelling like smoke, and my mom was like, "Why do y'all smell like smoke?" And then my other neighbor, he had like an uncle that would always smoke, and I was like, "Oh, we were around, the neighbors. He was smoking around us or whatever." But we had been smoking leaves, so that was like my first official, unofficial weed, but and my first real uh like official experience with weed was with my cousin, also with my cousin Peter. He used to have a friend. We used to live in HP, and then I was older now. I was like 16 at the time, and yeah, I was like playing basketball a lot. But for whatever reason, I like we kicked it at his friend's house, and he had like this big ass bong. It was probably like 3 feet maybe, like you need like 4 feet maybe even, because you needed help. You needed help lighting it. Like somebody needed to light it for you to to spark it. So yeah, this was like back in the chronic days. So I guess we were smoking like chronic or something like it. And yeah, it was like my first time. So like whatever, I was like my cousin was lighting it for me, and I was sitting there. And like I wasn't really feeling anything at first, so I was like, I was taking a lot of drags, I was like, whatever. And then I was just chilling in the house, chilling like on the couch, and all of a sudden, the, the house started like moving like that. Like, oh shit, the house is jumping, son. It was just like stuff was moving. I was like, what the hell? And then I remember I was kind of like, I didn't like the feeling that I was feeling. Like I kind of like felt out of control. So I didn't really like that feeling. And then I started getting paranoid. And so this was my basketball day. So I was like always at the park at this time. There's a park in Huntington Park called Salt Lake Park that has like a few, like I think it's 4 basketball courts, and like it's always full of people during the week playing basketball. So we were always there, and my cousin was like, "Let's go home," and I was like, "Hell no!" I thought my aunt would be like the fuck. Shit. I was like, sure, she would have noticed that we were high or whatever. So I was all like, nah, let's go to the park, bro. So we go to the park, and I was like trying to play basketball, and I was awful. I was like all uncoordinated. It was not the business. And yeah, I don't know. I remember I just didn't like the feeling. I was like, I don't like feeling out of control like this. The house was jumping. And then the second time that I got like really high, I was again with my cousin Peter around the same time, maybe like a few months after the first time. We were like with another one of his friends, and yeah, he this was chronic. This was like officially chronic. I know for sure it was chronic. So we were smoking. We were smoking some chronic, and yeah, we just smoked, and then we ended up going inside, and we ended up throwing one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies, and we ended up getting like knocking out, and like we were like on the couch, me and my cousin Peter, and I guess we got super lit, and we ended up kind of like knocking out like toward each other, and we ended up like leaning on each other, almost like face to face, like high as hell. And I woke up like, what the hell? Ninja Turtles. And that one I was like cool, but still like I ended up like not smoking for a really long time. So like I tried it a few times at first, but I always kind of saw it as like, because back in the day it was like it kills your brain cells, and kills your sperm count, and all this other like wrong information that was out about weed at the time. So yeah, I was just like, if you smoke, you're a bum. And that's kind of how I would see it. But now I'm like the biggest advocate for weed, just because I've seen like the positive effects that it has on people. And then it's just like a chill, man. You just want to chill, mellow, get artistic, do some creative stuff. Those are some of like the some of my first times smoking the reefer. I should throw in a bonus story. So I think this is the funniest like paranoid moment for me of my weed career. So I hadn't really been smoking that long, and I was heading back home, and I had a joint, I think, so I ended up smoking it. I ended up sparking it in my car like 5 minutes down from where I was staying at the time. So I was smoking it, and whatever, drove home, parked the car, And we used to live. I was staying with my ex, and it was like this complex. So we were staying on the second floor, so I had to take the elevator up. So whatever, parked the car, and then I ended up going. And then when you were heading toward the elevator, it was like the elevator's on one side, and then the manager's office was on the other. So when I rolled in, I kind of like turned toward her office, and she was there, and we made eye contact, and then I ended up going upstairs, going inside, and then I like just get in the house, and then I still had some of the joint. I didn't smoke all of it. I had some of it, so I had it with me, and then I ended up like I laid down on the bed, and then like after a few minutes, someone came knocking real hard, tap 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 tap, and I was like, damn. The manager must have seen that I was high, and I got super paranoid. I was like, I need to get rid of the evidence. So so I ended up taking the joint, and I ended up flushing it down the toilet. Like it was some heavy narcotics or something. And I was like, oh damn. And then they ended up answering the door, and it ended up being just like the neighbor that needed something. It wasn't even like the manager, or it was nothing. So I ended up flushing it. I ended up flushing the joint for no goddamn reason. That's how paranoid I got. But I was like, we're gonna get kicked out of the house because I'm smoking marijuana. Oh man. Moving on to the next vice. Um, that alcohol, I can remember the very first time that I got super drunk. It was around the same time that I had tried smoking as well. It was with my cousin, my older cousin Senan. I call him Junior because he's a junior, and yeah. So my one of my aunts, the aunt that I was staying at, was like had just moved out of the apartment, but she still had a few things in the apartment. So we were like, the party was like the next block over. So we're like, cool, we'll go to the party and then we'll crash at the apartment. So yeah, so we ended up going to this party, and then they ended up giving me, my cousin ended up giving me, first it was like a cup of Remy Martin with like squirt, I think, and I ended up drinking that. And then I was like, whatever, I don't feel nothing. And then they ended up giving me a cup of Presidente, which is a tequila, and then I ended up drinking that. And then I was like, I'm still cool. And then I was drinking beer, and then all of a sudden, I remember that I was still walking back then, and I remember like standing up, and then I feel like, damn, what? Okay, now I feel it, and I was like super drunk, and like I got to the point, I kind of kept drinking beer, I believe, and I got to the point where I was still kind of like functioning, but then blacking out because I remember little parts of it. So whatever, like we were at this party, and then we ended up, when we were leaving, I get like my cousin was like, yo, take some beer. So I was like over here drunk as fuck trying to walk a block over carrying beers, and I ended up like falling and spilling beers, like some of them rolled into the street, and I was like trying to pick them up, and we ended up getting to the apartment, and then one of his friends, one or two of his friends ended up going like kicking it with us for a while. So we were in the apartment, and I remember I started feeling sick, and I ended up throwing up in front of my cousin was driving like an Astro van at the time. Threw up in front of the van, and then ended up just kind of like going inside and knocking out. Um, and yeah, I was like, man, I woke up with like the nastiest hangover of my life. I was like, I'm never gonna drink again, because I had been mixing, different kind of alcohols, and then I wasn't drinking any water. So man, I had like the worst headache. Like I was nauseous, and then we were kind of still helping my aunt move. Had to help my aunt move a few things because she was gonna come after or whatever. But yeah, and then I ended up falling asleep on like this, on this bed that was just like the it was just the springs. It was like these square springs, and you would put like a mattress on top of it, and the mattress was gone already, and I ended up sleeping on the springs. So when I woke up, I had like the marks of the springs all over my face, super hungover, wishing I never would have drank in my life again. Oh man. And then I've had a few random episodes of blacking out, and and yeah, alcohol is crazy. But hey, the first few shots get you lit. You know, you're like you're like the fun version of yourself or something. You're like the more outgoing version of yourself. I might go back to some of the other drunk stories just because moving on to a few other, like I tried coke a few times. And I remember like the first time at the time my cousin was slanging. And yeah, we were like kicking in his room and they were just doing lines in here. I was like, you want to lie? I was like, fuck it. I was like, see what this is about. So I was like, my mouth and my nose were super numb. I can't remember it really having that much of an effect on me. Like I can't. I think a factor might be that I'm one of those people that have like a really fast metabolism. So like I break down food real quick. Like I break down my body breaks down fat, and I think it breaks down other things as well, like medications. Because I find like a few things they don't really work on me, or they'll work for like a little bit. So like if I smoke, I'm not high as long as most people. Like I have friends that they'll be high for like 40 minutes, man. Like sometimes even hours, like baked, and I'm like 15 minutes after, like, y'all ready for another one? I call it the curse because sometimes I'm like, man, I want to get high like y'all, but I don't want to. I don't want to try no heavy drugs. So yeah, but I remember I ended up like biting my cheek, like, because I was like chewing. I was like that's all. That's like the main effect that I think it had on me. But as far as like me feeling anything specific, like nah, I ended up like kind of like we ended up like falling asleep not that long after like busting a line. So yeah, I don't know. And then after that, I was just like, that's like a waste. I don't feel nothing. So I never. I mean, I tried it a few other times, just like because people offered it, and I was like free, but like it's probably like handful of times, like just a random key, just to like drink or whatever. And I wasn't even that much of a drinker, so um, yeah, I could say I tried it. Not my thing. I don't know. I mean, I know other people that are like super into that. You know, oh, here fucking busting key lines in the bathroom and shit, or always like you know hitting like the hitting the little like cut at the parties to bust the line. And then this one time, around the same time where I was living with my aunt, one of our neighbors, he would cook drugs. So he would like go up north and like come back with like balls of coke and like balls of speed and all kinds of shit. And this one time, like we were just like randomly kicking it. Like he had a brother, and then we were just like drinking. We had like a 24 pack of something, and we were just downing them and just fucking doing bumps of speed. I don't know. I was young, and yeah, we were just like drinking and doing this shit. I just remember it was burning. Like, god damn. I was like, oh, it was red. I remember I was just like drinking and not feeling anything, like not getting drunk or nothing. I was like, what the hell? This is like a fucking drink all night drug shit. Um, and we were like kicking it in this like little pickup. And it was kind of cold that night, I remember. And so we ended up kind of like moving it, uh, going up to like the apartment, and we were just like kicking it, and still drinking. And then this was around the same time that I was always like playing basketball. So I remember I had like basketball shorts. This might have been like the first time that I actually met this guy's brother, or second. But turns out he was a little gay. So yeah, I guess like after like drinking a few, he got like brave, and it ended up being just like kind of like me and this dude. And I remember like he just like I remember he brought up this conversation talking about like, yo, have you ever like watched porn and like jacked off and like see who could fucking launch it the furthest? I was like, no, what the fuck? Hells no. He was like, yeah, man, I do it all the time. Like we have like these fucking cum cum shot races. I was like, what the fuck? And I mean, and at this time, I didn't know this guy was gay. So I was like, nah. And then he was like, yeah, let's do on some porn, like. And then he was like, yo, have you ever had a fucking guy suck your dick? And I was like, no, what the fuck? You talking crazy, bro? And then he was kind of like like close to me. He was like, yeah, man, like, yo, like, let me suck your dick. And I was like, motherfucker, what the fuck? I was a little confused because, again, I didn't know he was gay. So I was like, is he joking? What the fuck? And then, yeah, it got to the point where he was kind of like right next to me, right? And then he ended up like fucking going in and straight grabbing a whole handful of fucking dick and balls and shit. I was like, what the? And I ended up like pushing him out, like, what the fuck, bro? And I was like, I'm out, yo. Like, the only reason I started swinging on this dude because, like I said, his brother was like a drug dealer, and he was like guns, and even though he was cool with my cousins and everything, like we were cool, but I wasn't like as cool as my cousins were with him or whatever. And I was like, you know, if I start fucking whooping this guy's brother's ass, he was my fucking liable to come out and shoot my ass. So I was like, fuck this. I just dipped. I was like, this some weird shit, bro. Like, what the fuck? I'm out. And then it was just like fucking going home. I was like, I'm out, man. What the fuck? Straight grab me my wiener, man. God damn. Like I've lived in California and in Washington, and when I lived in Washington, like at different times I worked and lived with my step uncle, and well, now ex step uncle, because it was like on my dad's wife's side. And dude, they used to work at this restaurant, and they used to be doing these fucking lines like this long, man, of coke, like no joke. Like I'll be like, what the fuck? They'll be wild. I'll be in the front taking orders, and like they'd be in the back listening to like Christina Aguilera or washing dishes, going wild. Yeah, one of my coworkers was like really into Christina Aguilera in the day. Yeah, that's another story. But yeah, and like with them, I never really like I don't know. I always kind of felt a little weird, like doing fucking lines with my step uncle or whatever. And one of the times that I did, I got super sick for like a few days. It was almost like I had the flu, and that was like I stopped after, like I never really did it after that. I was like, yeah, no, I'm good, not for me. Cause yeah, like on the third day, my my dad, they were like, well, you wanted to take you to the hospital, and I was like, no, cause I know they might have find like the drugs in my system or whatever. So I was like, no, I'm good, I'm feeling better. Little did they know I was doing, it's because I was doing like 6-inch lines on hyper mode and shit. Like, yeah, I was like, man, I don't know how you guys can like do that shit and work. And yeah, I mean, I might have done it once or twice, but I was like, nah, man, I'm just gonna chill. So I'll be in the front taking orders, and they'll be just in the back like washing dishes and like cleaning and shit, like all on fucking clean mode and shit. Like I've talked in other episodes, I think I've talked in other episodes of like dealing with depression, and kind of like I go through like these ups and downs with it. And so I had like started reading about like mushrooms and shrooms, and like, you know, the effects that it's had on people that deal with like depression and anxiety and like PTSD and some of that stuff. So I was like, well, I think I'm gonna try some. So I ended up like, this is kind of like recently, actually. It was maybe like a month and a half ago. So I ended up trying some, and let me tell you, I had like a bad experience. Like, I don't know if I took too much. I ended up like grinding it up really fine, really fine. And then I ended up throwing it in some like orange juice, let it sit for like 45 minutes, because that's what the guy told me to do. So that's what I did. Now I let it sit, and then I chugged it. And then I started feeling shit. No, like, so like the first thing that I started feeling was like my legs started like kicking forward. Like they started like spasming forward. First it was like my feet started like kicking forward, and then it got to the point where they ended up just like staying locked forward in place. And like I kept like spasming, so I was like, let me go ahead and lay down. So I like chilled, and then like I would see like a little bit of like these rings circling. Like sometimes I would like close my eyes, and then my body, I get something called autonomic dysreflexia. So that's like some things with my nervous system. So like the shrooms, they started like activating my whole body. So some the thing was though that like now those things like certain things trigger certain things with me, like where I know that I need to do certain things. So like the autonomic dysreflexia, like I start getting like this little headache because my blood pressure starts going up or down. So that's how I know I need to like pee or like go to the, number two, or if something's wrong with me. So I started like feeling like, man, like I need to like go to the bathroom or whatever. So I would like get up and go to the bathroom, but I wouldn't really like not that much would come out. So it was like weird. Like my bladder almost started like it was not holding any liquid. I was like, damn. So it got to the point where I was just kind of like leaking out, and I ended up just like getting like some like these pads and just like laying on those. And then I basically was like going through like withdrawals, dude. Like I was like sweating like a lot, I was like soaking in sweat, and just because like my body was like weird. It was like, yeah, it was not the business. I was like, man, I was like, and then like again, it was like a feeling of feeling kind of like a little out of control, like the same way that I felt like some of the first times that I smoked, where I was kind of like I felt way out of control. And then I was like, at like 2 hours in, I was like, and I still got like 4 hours of this. I mean, I made a mistake because I tried it really super late, so I ended up like not sleeping all night, and then like my body was like tripping for a few days. It was not fun. I was like, I don't like this feeling. One of the things that I did notice when I would have like these moments of like clarity, where I would kind of like use the high to like concentrate, it was like the best way I can describe it is like let's say if I had a problem and I was trying to solve that problem, like if I was thinking about it, like I could see like it was almost like ants crawling and like wrapping around the problem, if that makes sense. Like it would like literally like almost like engulf the problem or whatever I was trying to like think about or like trying to solve, if I was trying to solve something, if that makes any sense. I sound like I'm high right now. Shit. Yeah, and that's kind of like my history as far as drugs are concerned. After I got shot, I was in the hospital and I was getting like morphine, and morphine is the business. Man, they give you some morphine and you just start feeling good. Like, yeah, man, give me some more of that. It's just like you relax, you forget about everything. You just kind of like, yeehaw. So I could totally understand how people might get like an injury and then go to the hospital and be like on morphine and get hooked on it and then not be able to get it. So you go get like the next closest thing to that, which is heroin, basically. So it's like, you can kind of understand how people can get addicted that way or whatever. I mean, I think they noticed that I was I was like, give me some more, because I was asking for it too frequently. So they were like, all right, bro. And then the thing was that I wasn't really like feeling anything, because I mean, like the bullet paralyzed me instantly. So I couldn't move or feel anything. So I wasn't feeling like pain or anything. But I was like, it hurts. I need some more of that morphine. And I would just go into like, yeehaw land. It's crazy. My cousin would like get together sometimes with his friends, and this was for like 4th of July. I don't remember what it was for exactly, but it was like a group of his friends, and we were like drinking at his house. He was living in La Puente at the time, and there was like a pool, and we were like just drinking, and then we were even doing like bong hits underwater. Like we were like, man, we get it. And I ended up getting pretty drunk, and then there was like they had a basketball like hoop set up, and we were like trying to play basketball with all his friends. And I started eating it, literally like falling over, rolling over, trying to like cross people up. I was crossing myself up. Like, yeah, my coordination was off. And then yeah, they kind of started calling me Floor after that. Like that was like one of my nicknames with my cousin's friends. They started calling me Floor for that drunkenness. And then I remember another time I went to this event. It was like a photography event. So it was like this photographer that I met at going through like the photography meetups. His brother, it was his brother's birthday. So he ended up getting like this long billboard that was kind of like almost like a movie poster. It was kind of like Scarface theme, and it was like a full like red carpet, and it was full setup. So he had like everybody that was coming into the party. It was like a group of us taking pictures, with the flash or whatever. So we were basically the paparazzi. And yeah, we were just like shooting people, like the people that were coming in, and we were shooting them. And then after everybody, like after the party, like after the party settled or whatever, we kind of like were able to go into like and enjoy the party, and it was open bar. So we were drinking like adioses. It was like a few other photographers, and we got lit. Like super drunk. We were like, I was like smoking cigars. Like I never smoked cigars, but yeah, man, I was so drunk, and then we were kind of like, I ended up drinking like it was like kind of like this little patio thing, and then there was like a little pathway that ended up going into like grass. It kind of like ended randomly, and then you had to like turn to go out. So when it was time to go, I was like, all right, let me get off this patio, and I went off the little road, but I wasn't paying attention and I didn't notice the drop off. So as soon as the little step came, I went flying forward out of my chair. They ended up putting me in my chair, and then whatever, we ended up like, all right, later, man. And I ended up rolling to my car. And then when I was in my car, I was like, man, I am way too drunk to drive. I was like, I'm gonna just pass out here. So but I ended up like putting my keys in the ignition, and I had the music on, and I ended up passing out with the music on. So I ended up passing out for a few hours. Um, and next thing you know, I'm waking up like, oh man, super super drunk. I mean, not drunk, but like borderline, um, like drunk going down and already getting like a hangover. And then my like the battery had died on my car. I was like, oh no. So I ended up having to like get out, like stop a car, literally stop a car, and get a jump. And yeah, man, like ended up that was like that was like a cool event though. That was a cool one. That was a cool one. Oh, I need a pee real quick. Excuse me, sir. Yeah, I'm actually uh, doing a test run of these boom arms that I just got. They're the OCY Podcast Pro boom arms, and yeah, they're pretty cool. I got a two, and I got another Rode Pod mic, so I have two pairs of two different kind of mics now. I think I'm gonna get another two of the Rode podcast mics, and yeah, so I can have like a full setup of four mics. Cause I think I'm gonna start working on a show with a few other people. We'll see. Getting back to these stories, yeah. So let me tell you guys a few other like alcohol stories. So when I turned 18, I ended up moving up to the state of Washington. They ended up giving me like a job offer, and I was like, sure, why not? I wasn't doing anything down here, so I ended up going. And so I ended up moving with my step uncle, and we lived in this apartment for like a few months, and then we ended up getting like moving to a bigger apartment, so I'd have my own room. So yeah, we ended up moving, and his dad was visiting at the time and staying with us. So like whatever, we ended up moving, settling in, and we had kind of like a moving celebration, moving party. So we ended up all like, all right, let's all bring a liquor, but we all ended up bringing different kinds of liquor, and whatever, we ended up killing a few bottles, and his dad ended up bringing like this a tequila, but it was like this cheap tequila. So man, we were just celebrating, drinking, getting super drunk, and yeah, like it was bad tequila because like we drank the liquor that I took, and then we had drank the liquor that my step-uncle took, and then we drank the liquor that his dad took last. That was like the last thing that was left. And like I'm not like a throw upper. Like I'm not like like if I get super drunk, I rarely throw up. So I ended up like going to the bathroom wherever, and I ended up just like yakking some of that. It was like so gross. So whatever, we ended up knocking out. Everyone went to to sleep. Tell me why the next morning my step uncle was like, bro, I ended up fucking pissing all over the bed and pissing everywhere. Straight pissed the bed, and I think he like pissed the curtains because he was like moving and pissing, man. I was like, oh man. We had a few random ones with that step uncle. I remember another time we ended up going to this club, and yeah, it was like he knew DJs up there in Washington. So I was 18 at the time, and we ended up going to a 21 and over club. But because because I was with the DJ, we ended up kind of like, getting me in, and I was in the party, and I ended up seeing like this young lady, and then whatever, I ended up talking to her and dancing, and kind of like I basically ended up kicking it with her the whole night, and then she ended up coming home with us, and I had come with them, like with my step-uncle and some of his friends. So whatever, we go back home and we kind of like chill for a little bit, and I ended up rolling in to put in work. And he was like one of those people that whenever he would drink, he would get aggressive and violent. And my room at the time had a door to the bathroom, so the bathroom basically had two doors. And I walked into the bathroom, and he was walking into the bathroom, and then like we kind of just like stopped in the middle of the bathroom, and we were just kind of like looked at each other for a little bit, and like without saying anything, he like pushed me. He pushed me, and I kind of like flew into the bathtub, and then I was like, "What the fuck just happened?" Like, I was in the bed, like I was so confused because like we were cool, like, and I don't know if it was like a jealousy thing because I had like brought this girl home, or if like I don't know what the fuck it was, but I was like, what the fuck? And obviously I had been drinking too, so I was like kind of like, fuck this. So I ended up going, like, it was like a few guys were still there, they were like in the living room, and I was like, what the fuck? So I went out to the living room, and I guess I had dropped the earring, and I don't know why I went to the living room to pretend to look for it there, because I was trying to start some beef, because I was like, what the fuck? I was I was kind of like, yo, bro, like, what the fuck? Like, why you tripping? Yeah, so I was like, what the fuck, man? And then he ended up like hitting me, bam. Like, he actually hit me a few times, and I was like, yo, like, why you hitting me? Like, what the fuck? Like, why you tripping? And then we had a roommate at the time. He was like, yo, like, stop, don't let him hit you or whatever. And like, cause he hit me a few times, but I was lit, and like I have a pretty good chin, I guess, or he fucking hit like a bitch, something, I don't know. Like my roommate was like, yo, don't let him hit you, and I was like, this motherfucker hit me one more time, it's gonna be on and cracking. And yeah, he ended up hitting me one more time, and I ended up hitting him. Wham! I just hit him one time, and then he like flew back. Like, he literally flew back, not bullshit aside. Like, he left his feet backwards, and then I ended up like mounted on top, and then I was just hitting him like, and then he ended up getting me in a headlock, and then like some of the guys that were there, my roommate, they were like, yo, should we get him off of me? Like, should we separate him? And they were like, hey, maybe they got some beef already or something. But nah, it was like, I don't know, man. This dude just like, I don't know. He's just like one of those dudes that fucking wants to fight if he gets drunk or whatever. So whatever, they separated us, and I went to my room, and my hand was fucking bumping. Like, my hand was hurting, and whatever, I ended up smashing doggy style, and I actually had broken my hand. I had fractured my hand, so it's actually still fractured. So the bone, this bone is broken. It's like, instead of the bone being straight, it's kind of like split a little bit, kind of like this. I don't know if I'm getting close enough, but if you see, there's like my hand has a bump. Yeah, and that's not supposed to be there. But in order to fix it, they would have to break my hand and insert a rod to, obviously, so the bone is straight. And this was when I was like I was like 20 at the time, maybe. No health insurance. So whatever, I wake up, and then like the girl leaves, and then my roommate, I didn't have a car at the time, so my roommate got home, and I was like, yo, man, like he asked me about my hand, because I, like, after I hit him, like, they heard they heard like something break or whatever, and then I felt it right away. I was like, fuck. So, but I ended up going inside of her, and then my hand, like, the next day, my hand was like a baseball. It was super swollen. So my roommate ended up taking me to like the emergency room, and they like took x-rays, and they ended up putting like half a cast on my hand, and then wrapped it with like not band-aids, but like they just wrapped it. So it was removable basically. So they were like, so we're gonna wrap it and kind of let it heal on its own and see how it heals, and if it doesn't heal right, you'll need surgery. But man, just for the X-rays and they gave me some ibuprofen, it was like $5,000. I was like, dang. I mean, I couldn't afford that at the time, so I ended up not really ever. I mean, I went back and they told me that like in order for them to fix it, that they would need to do the process that I mentioned. And I was like, I can't afford that. So I was like, well, it's functioning and whatever. So, and I mean, it's good. Like, it hurts once in a while when it gets cold. But like, I mean, I think I got in a few fights after it was broken and it held up. But yeah, I ended up hitting him like I guess I hit his this bone right here, and his he had like a huge black eye, and yeah. But I mean, we were cool. Like, I mean, I didn't have beef. I didn't even understand why the fight started. I mean, yeah, I was like, what the fuck? Tripping. Had to whoop that ass. And yeah, I know. Like, I've never really liked to drink with people like that, just because I'm just like, if I get drunk enough, I'll be like, shut the fuck up. But I mean, normally I'm like the most chill, mellow person. But yeah, now I miss a little scrap once in a time. But look what scrapping got. Look at where it got me. Fucking don't fight, kids. Yeah, like my body just can't handle drinking like super heavy. Like, I kind of like I kind of like poison my bladder in a way if I drink too heavily. And then sometimes I'll have like issues for days after the fact, like where my bladder is hurting and my my pee cycle's all messed up. So I kind of take it easy with drinking. Like I said, my drug of choice is a smoking now. It's like, I feel like the most healthiest. Obviously, inhaling smoke isn't healthy. Obviously, I know that, but it's like better than taking pills. I'm trying to like cut off of like the medications that I'm taking, like, so I'm little by little cutting it off, trying to get off those drugs, because I figure like all that stuff, like all drugs, it's like, chemicals that aren't supposed to be in your body. So it's kind of like, man. And I don't know, we're already like intaking so many other like stuff in our food that I'm just like, I want to cut out as many chemicals as I can. So I've like kind of been in the process of trying to get off the drugs. I've thought about trying acid, but like, I'm like, if I'm gonna have the same reactions as them shroomies, I'm kind of scared, son. I don't know. Yeah, so that's some of my random drug and drinking stories. I'm sure I'll drop more as like we keep the podcast going. Hopefully I can start bringing in guests again and keeping the ball rolling, keeping the show rolling. So yeah, now I got the two mics. I'm probably gonna upgrade my phone. I'm shooting right now on my phone. I have the iPhone XR. I figure I probably should upgrade to the 12 to get that crispy video. So yeah, and I think I want to get more creative, more camera angles once I'm able to fully once I have a laptop that's fully able to handle me rendering and all that stuff. I'm just waiting for the new 14-inch MacBook Pro to come out. I can't wait, because if it's gonna be upgraded more than like the current ones are, man, I can't wait. I'm just like, hurry up, Mac, hurry up. Hurry up and drop it, Apple. I need it so I could get this editing. I could get this editing thing going, like in the picture. Like, I recently got a tablet to help me edit some of the pictures, because I'm trying to get back into the photography thing as well. Those are like the drugs I need to get into. But I haven't kind of like painting, and I've been working with a painter friend on helping her with some of her painting, and she's also a inventor, so I've been helping her with like a few ideas that she's been working on. So I've been doing creative stuff aside from my own stuff. But yeah, trying to get back in the mix. I've kind of like started going out into the world here and there. I've been lagging in on some of the video stuff on my other channel, but that's another story. So yeah, it's a little late. I think I'm gonna call it a night. I'm gonna continue to try to stay. I'm gonna try to stay consistent with the videos and bring you some more guests and interesting people. I'll try to line people so I could keep bringing them consistently. Hopefully I didn't bore you guys, and we can keep it going. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your month. Stay creative. Don't forget to subscribe and like, comment what you guys want me to talk about. Maybe like what creative guests you want me to bring in. As far as like artistry, whether it be like photographers or other painters, or yeah, shoot me some of the people you guys might be interested in seeing, and we'll try to make it happen. Stay lit, smoke weed if you're gonna do a drug, and always be mindful of what you're doing and do your research if you're gonna try anything, and be around safe people, and just be aware of what you're doing and be responsible if you are gonna try anything. I'm not saying to go out and try some of this stuff. I'm just saying my experiences growing up. I luckily was kind of like sheltered a little bit, so I didn't see a lot of like heavy stuff like crack use. Now you see it all the time if you go to downtown. Shit is wild. So stay safe, guys, and yeah, keep creating.
Pacing in my studio, just coming up with dapper bars to spit in crucial situations when I play the rapper's part. Heard I got a denim heart and lyricism in my jeans. Cut a track down, leave it bald head like Mr. Clean. Spit it mean, a record fiend. I school you niggas, call me Dean. I'm always speechless, never seen. Stay on the chase for minty green. It's local how these niggas say they ballin', but they broke though.